Old concrete structures have issues. Corrosion can start within your concrete because of chloride ingress or carbonation of the concrete. This reduces the local pH around your steel. Those cracked, spalled areas which have corrosion, we typically just break out those areas of concrete and replace them with fresh, new repair material. However, this can cause problems. We have steel in old concrete next to steel in new repair material, and that can cause a corrosion cell to form. This accelerates problems around the patch, causing cracking and spalling and more corrosion in that area. We call this the incipient anode effect. These galvanic anodes are used to help protect against this problem. The zinc in these anodes corrodes sacrificially when it's connected to the steel. This means that this corrodes, not your steel. These anodes we call RebaGuard. They're a precast anode that were installed within the patch. These anodes are called PatchGuard. These are installed into drilled holes around the periphery of a patch. Today, we're going to have a look at the installation videos of both of these side by side and compare the processes involved and the installation times. Here are some of the tools that we'll be using today. The continuity of the steel must be ensured before any patch anodes are installed. This is done using a calibrated multimeter and measuring the resistance between different steels in the patch. The resistance should be less than 1 ohm. The anode locations are marked around the periphery of the patch. A drill is used to drill a 25mm diameter hole. These holes are then cleaned out. The anodes are dry fitted. The holes are wet down, ready for the anodes. A single steel location is needed for each anode and must be cleaned to a shine. A custom putty is then used and the anodes installed into this putty. The integral steel wire is then connected directly to steel and pulled tight. The continuity between the anodes and the steel is then tested. If the patch repair is not being filled within 2 hours, we recommend capping those holes to stop the putty drying out. These are precast anodes, and they must sit at least 3/4 of an inch, or about 90mm, beneath the surface of the patch. It's also important to make sure that adequate space is given under the anodes to make sure that the repair material can flow and that there are no voids formed. Care must be taken with any vibrating tools to make sure the proper health and safety procedures are being met. 2 steel connections are required for each of these anodes, rather than the 1 from the PatchGuard. Steel connections are now being tested, and the wires are being pulled tight. The continuity must be tested again here between the anodes and the steel. A bridging mortar is being installed in this case. This is common if the repair material used is high resistivity or polymer modified. Now let's compare these two side by side. The marking and the drilling of the PatchGuard anodes is quite fast. However, the breakouts for the RebaGuard anodes take a little bit more time, ensuring that adequate space above and beneath the anode is created. The single steel connection for the PatchGuard anode is a little bit faster than the 2 steel connections needed for each of the precast anodes. We can see now that the PatchGuard anodes are having all the steel connections made, while the RebaGuard anodes were still on the first anode. You can see by the location of the anodes that the PatchGuard are much better situated to give current outside of the patch where it's needed. The RebaGuard anodes with all precast anodes are within the patch and therefore have to work a little bit harder to get their current outside of the patch. The PatchGuard installation is complete and all capped off. It's now ready to be filled with the new fresh repair material. The RebaGuard, however, is still having its bridging water applied. As you can see, the RebaGuard product and other products like it often require space to be created under and above the anode to make sure that material can flow under the anode and that you've got a sufficient gap of usually about 20 mil above the anode. This can lead to an increased time of installation. PatchGuard, however, was quite easy to install in the small drilled holes around the periphery. So when you're looking at doing a patch repair, I do recommend using PatchGuard. It is better located to provide current to the steel which need it, and it can be faster. However, ReaperGuard has an important place. These are especially good in recasting or new build environments where breaking out isn't required. Thank you for watching here today. And if you want more information about these products or many of the other things about corrosion and reinforced concrete, come visit us at cp-tech.co.uk. Thank you.